Continuing right along, I want to keep going with the second half of this, basically visiting data trees through David Rutten's 6-part webinar, I think it was, on advanced data trees. We've gone through the first part, and I just want to continue and get this over as quick as possible. We've got our data trees here. I've got some things located on where they are, so let's just jump into it. I'm going to basically take my group off and show where we're at. We're bringing in a point system that's tied to a closed circle or a surfaced circle, and those are points. And there's a warning against going into PathMapper and trying to script with anything that might be a variable to a number slider, and don't you do that in your expression nodes either. It doesn't work, so I put it in red. And then basically he jumps in here and grabs some mapping for the split tree function and shows how you can script and choose very simple things along this path. Keep in mind what this path is. And so if you're looking for anything in the 3 path that can actually have 3 as an indices, there it is within that point system, located right there. You can write it 4, just move it over 1, and you'll see that basically, I didn't mean to do that. I need to leave this in. I need to take this mask and put it here, and you'll watch my point jump over 1. And you saw that moved here to here. You can grab all paths that basically have anything with 4 in that column, which is the same point, so it comes up the same. You can actually go so far as to introduce the asterisk before and after that 4, and that's fine. It stays within that point. And if you grab 0, it's going to come up with anything with 0 within the script, and of course it's that whole row of points along there. That said, you can keep going with the 0 and then go to the 1. This is a cool digit because 1 is actually available. But the 0 column has been drawn out of it. So 1 is still there as a point. So hopefully you can follow along there. He does suggest at the end of that session that keeping your path mapper without the I indices is a good way of not running into problems with data and floors and ceilings and roundings. So if you can make it work without the I, make it work without the I. So a great little example. I'm going to grab this and I'm just going to put it to group and take it to preview off. And we're going to go down here and we're going to get the next script going under enable. And what was happening there, and I may borrow this data to pop some skeletons on there. What he did was he showed ways you can start getting this script into panels very quickly. And the first way and the most convenient way, he said, is use a gene pool, slide around your numbers, and you can see that changes your paths. And you can have as many paths as you want by constructing a path, and you can also deconstruct that path back into the points. He says within those are ways of looking at the item count. If you go into help, maybe not help, just double click on the right click on the path, double click on the path mapper, and you'll see you can use an item count, which is the number of items in the current branch, the path count, which will tell you the number of branches, and the path index, which will show you the index to those branches. And you can script those directly in and start playing with those variables that are set, and they'll function for you. The other way that you can bring in this type of data stream, he said you can go through the problems of doing text join, putting these commas, colons, semicolons between them, but you'd still have to use concatenator format to put the parentheses, the curly brackets around each one. So the easiest way he suggests in that next video is to simply go in and use the construct path and a gene pool to start coming up with some of this data that you can then draw out and use as your material. So that's a very interesting way to make a parametric, and I think I'm going to start using that tool. Not much to look at here, I apologize, so I'll just put everything on, and there's our points that are being selected, and there's our little skeleton to keep our eye on, just to have fun, because, you know, got to make something unique if I'm just going to show off what David Rutten has done. Another suggestion, he goes into merge and shows you how when you merge 3 number sliders, it comes up as a list, and what you may want to do is have that grafted, and you'll see here it's grafted with data coming in on their own branches, but then if they're blank, they just leave them blank as empty branches. You'll have to use clean tree to clean that up afterwards. So nice tools to use entwine and use merge, and he's talking about bringing these together in other nodes. And he goes farther to say that dispatch, pick and choose, weave, and sift pattern are all basically the same thing, and he might want to work in another version of Grasshopper to bring those together into a node. They're all doing things specifically to what PathMapper can do and Shift Tree can do and all those wonderful relative items. So just have a look at those and how they function. They're most commonly used in the tutorials I see on OHM and Parametric House, but you can go farther and farther into data trees if you like. And then he mentioned Steve Bear, which I would say get on their websites, take a look at their videos, follow what they're doing on Python script, and he's showing ways of incorporating nodes into that script and having them process and come back out. So that's left. That's only 5 minutes to wrap up that series, but you've got a very nice document here with everything going to watch those 6 videos. I've done a quarter of the time, maybe even a fifth of the time of what was done. I'm going to save that as a doc. I'll have that up on GitHub as long as I don't have any hesitancy or people complaining that I'm doing that. I've scripted these. I brought them in from tutorials. I haven't cut and pasted this from anywhere. I do it so I can understand, and I do it for people that should have and wish that they got into this type of data and information beforehand. And I'm going to go so far and go into mode labs, data paths again, data trees again, and show the highlights of that. I've done it before, and I'm going to revisit it. You've got to keep practicing this like a musician practicing the piano. Others might take note that you haven't been practicing. You definitely will know every day if you're not up to practice and learning and keep going with this scripting. So even though this is all buried here, if I activate this, you can see that I've actually got pretty good understanding of how to script. And I know very basic skills in Python. I haven't spent more than 3 months of my life really looking into it. And those are books that I'm teaching my young children. So anybody can wrap their head over what's happening in lists and ranges and certain operations and conditionals and things like that. Thanks very much for watching. Stay tuned, stay subscribed, and get your friends to subscribe and keep watching good old Wickerson Studios.